Hi everybody, it's Thursday night and we're doing a demo tonight, of course. Tonight we're going to be making Labneh, which is a strained yogurt. So Greek yogurt is already strained. We're taking it a step further. It's going to make a really nice spread, which you will see, and it's delicious. We're also going to make to go with that Greek Pita, which is a really simple, super simple bread dough. So let's get started with that. I have 1 cup of water at about 110 degrees. And pardon my dirty bowl here. I already made a batch earlier, so I'm just reusing the bowl. It's all the same ingredients. So that is 2 teaspoons of yeast that I put into 110 to 115 degree water. And I'm going to let that sit for a sec, and we'll start on the yogurt side of it, which I also, sorry, Heather left in the fridge. And I'm tripping. Sorry. Bit exciting. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is I have full fat. Only I got the skim by mistake, but I'll show you how it works anyway, and we'll see if skim works. This is Ziggy. I have been using the Fage, which I really like, which is 2 cups. This is 3 cups, and as I said, this is actually non-fat, so we'll be able to see if this works or not. I had trouble finding yogurt this morning for some reason. So into this, we are going to put, into 2 cups, we would put a half a teaspoon of salt. Since this is 3 cups, we're going to put in another 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And I'm going to mix this together like so. I'm assuming, like, if you salt vegetables, especially like eggplant, stuff like that, it pulls a lot of the moisture out. So I'm guessing that that is what the salt does in this as well, although I don't know for sure. And I'm going to put this into a piece. This is actually doubled up cheesecloth. And I'm just going to, it's all mixed with its salt. I'm going to put it in here. And get as much in there as possible. And then I'm going to tie this. You're wondering why I have a fork here. It is so that I can tie this around, because I want to keep this up off the bottom of the bowl, because it is going to drip the whey. And if it's right on the bottom, it's just going to sit in the liquid, which is not going to help with our straining. So, whoops. So there's that. And so it's just sitting like this. And this is going to go into the fridge, preferably overnight. But so you're learning from my mistakes again today. I forgot to start this yesterday. So I bought the yogurt this morning. I got it right into the cheesecloth, and you can see it's dripped quite a lot of moisture. What you want to learn from me is, I thought, well, I'll give it a really good start and I'll squeeze it in the cheesecloth, and that will at least help get some of the moisture out. But what happens, because it's yogurt, is the yogurt oozes out through the cheesecloth. So don't do that. Just tie it up and let it sit. And I think that the liquid will not be quite as white as this, because it hopefully won't have any yogurt mixed into it. So we'll get to that in just a sec. Meanwhile, back to our pita. So I've let this sit for a few minutes and let the yeast get kind of bubbly and happy. And so now I am putting in my flour and salt. Recipe is on the website, so you can check that out. And I'm going to add into this 1 tablespoon of oil. Okay, so this is going to mix pretty well. You want to kind of, you want a pretty tender dough. You don't want it to be too sticky. You don't want it to be too dry and rough. What we're hoping is going to happen is that this will either be perfect or a little bit moist, and then we can just add like a tablespoon or a teaspoon of flour to it at a time. It looks actually like it's pretty good. And I'm just going to let the machine do most of the work here, and then I'm going to knead it a little bit by hand in just a moment. And you want to knead it a combined probably 10 or 15, maybe, yeah, 8 to 10 minutes, either by hand or in the machine. That looks like a really nice dough right now. So I'm going to take this out and just do a little bit of kneading by hand, because in my opinion, kneading by hand helps show the love, puts a little love in your food, as long as your hands are clean and you're not putting other stuff into your food. So just a little bit of flour. The beauty of these silicone mats is they are non-stick for the most part. A little bit of cheesecloth there. But you do want to use a little bit of flour, but you don't have to over flour, and that flour ends up going into your dough or your pie crust or whatever you're doing on the mat. So if you're doing this right on a counter, you're going to probably end up adding a lot more flour than you want. If you're doing it on the silicone, you're going to be adding just a little bit, just enough to keep it from sticking, not enough to make it too tough and chewy, because you want a nice tender dough. So in the real world, I would give this a little bit more kneading than I'm going to do right now, just so we can get moving here. But you want to, when you're kneading, you want to make sure that you're not just doing the same place over and over. You want to make sure that you're getting the sides, flipping it, turning it, and that helps to build up the gluten, which is going to make it nice and elastic and stretchy, which is what we want. So then we're going to take our bowl and we're going to put some olive oil in there, and we're going to take our ball of dough and just cover that with oil. So you can see how big that is, and compare that to what I made earlier. So it's exciting to open up the top of the bowl and see if it actually has risen. And thank goodness it has. All right, this is a really beautiful dough here. So I'm just gonna punch that down, as they call it. Just give it a little bit of kneading. Don't worry about the olive oil. It's fine. And I am going to cut this into 8 more or less even sized pieces. It doesn't matter if they're not exact. All right. And I have on the stove a cast iron pan. Let me get rid of some of my detritus here. Cast iron pan, I want it nice and hot for this. And I'm going to take my piece of dough, make it into a sort of a ball, and then you can press it, you can roll it if you want to. This is a little child size rolling pin. It's very elasticy. And that is going to go right in this hot pan, just like that. While that's happening, I'm going to try not to unplug myself again. And that's going to cook for just a minute or so on each side. It doesn't take very long. Meanwhile, I have my yogurt here, which just got dropped into the liquid, unfortunately. And I am going to hold tight and hope that doesn't happen again, and just cut off my cheesecloth. without cutting my fingers, preferably. Heather has her teeth gritted, hoping nothing bad happens here. And this is Labneh, and you can see how nice and thick and beautiful that is. That's going right into the bowl there. Let me see how this little feller's doing here. Brown on one side. Probably turned it down a little too much there. So I'm going to flatten this, and I'm going to give it a little bit of swirl because I want to drizzle this with some olive oil. And I want it to go into all the nooks and crannies. We have 4 really nice olive oils here. We have our Ariston, which is the Greek olive oil, which we've been selling for years and years. It's a refillable bottle. Your original is $11.99, and then $9.99 for each refill. We also have a really nice Spanish olive oil from Baena, and 2 really fun olive oils from Italy. Those are both from vineyards. A lot of vineyards have small olive plantations as well, and so they bottle and sell some of their olive oil, and it's really good. And you probably won't find it many other places in Maine. Okay, so we have our Labneh, and yes, it's pronounced Labneh. And I'm just going to put some olive oil on there. And then we have harissa, which is a spicy hot spice blend, or we have Syrian Za'atar. I'm going to use that. And I'm just going to sprinkle that on top. You can always add more. Oops. Sprinkle or pour, as the case may be. The other thing is we just got this Greek vampire scortalia. I don't really know how to say it, but that's how I'm saying it. And this is a raw garlic spread. It has garlic, lemon juice, malt vinegar, Maine sea salt from the Maine Sea Salt Company, and breadcrumbs in it to help keep the consistency. And it is fantastic. It is strong, so if you're not as much into garlic as I am, mixing it with yogurt, and especially I think with the, plopping some of this on top of the Labneh would be amazing. Let's get another one of our pitas done here. So ball, it's probably going to help to rest it a little bit. But it's okay if it comes out thick because it's a really soft, pillowy, just delicious, tender bread, and it is bread. Let's take this one so you can see it just cooks beautifully, and that's just fried. It's still hot, so it looks a little doughy, but it isn't really. And you can just dip that in the Labneh, which is going to be a little salty and savory, and then you've got the Za'atar on top of that. Oh, absolutely heaven. Mike wants some too. You want some?
Oh yeah.
Come try it.
I like that.
I love this pita bread, and it's so good with any kind of Greek food. Help yourself.
Thank you so
And it's
much.
really delicious. It's just slightly salty, so it's got really good flavor.
Just dip in.
Just dive right in there.
Fill off.
Isn't that good? It's so satisfying. This would be a great addition to a charcuterie board. You've got, technically it's a cheese. You've got other cheeses and meats and stuff. So nice addition, or just make the pitas and serve that with your charcuterie. Next week we have Alex Obregon from Salsa Hot Sauce, which if you haven't tried it, you should. It's very spicy, but it's made with all Maine-grown organic vegetables, such as the Scotch bonnet peppers he uses, carrots, and so on, and they're delicious. So anyway, he's going to be here making empanadas. He is from Costa Rica. And then the week after, Mike's going to be talking about some of our favorite gadgets. No, I'm going to be making puttanesca. In 3 weeks from tonight, Mike's going to be talking about some of our favorite gadgets. So tune in for that. And then in October, we've got Main Artist Weekend. And the first weekend, second weekend is Bath's Autumn Fest. So lots of fun stuff coming up. And we're going to sign off and eat some more pita and labneh. But thanks for joining us tonight, and we'll see you soon.